But you co-founded like one of most successful TV production companies in the UK.
Yeah, but that's very kind of you to say so.
But
like,
is it, right?
I was there when it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you're just being a Buddhist now.
No, I don't. Like, I honestly think there's an element of, I don't think I've done anything.
Okay.
Like, honestly, I'm not being like or maybe I am being a prick. I don't know, but I'm not intentionally being a prick.
No, it's the opposite.
I don't. You just go, I don't. It's how you quantify what a success is. Like, I've had loads. The more I do it, the more I realise the best bits are the bits when you're enjoying the process and really having. We're so lucky that I'm in a job that when it's going well, the end result is laughter.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a byproduct. I've worked in jobs where you do anything to get around the job by trying to make your friends laugh because the job's so shit. But when the job's end point is laughter and it's working, you go and you feel like there's a little bit of alchemy there. That's a massive privilege.
I mean, without wanting to sound like a cheesy dickhead, I mean, that in itself is success, isn't it? Having a career where you can do that on a day-to-day basis.
But I think you can do that. That is success. But I think certainly, we're in an industry of absolute psychopaths who judge success by, am I doing better than the person I'm competing against? I think that's the kind of irony of not just comedy, but telly, is that the veneer is entertainment and everyone's getting on.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it's a really nasty business.
Is it still? Do you feel that?
I say it's nasty. Is it a nasty? It's quite well. The problem is, there's lots of big rewards and there's big people. There's ruthless people who will, when there's big money to be made, people will make big money. I think there's always been telly's a weird one where there's lots of creative people and lots of business people, and they are at opposite ends of the spectrum. And trying to do both is a clumsy business.
Yeah.
Because the people who make the money will be the people who make money. The creative people will be the people who are, on some level, exploited for that money. But you kind of pretend that they all get on, I think. Like, I might be talking shit, but I think
that's a conflict in all creative industries, isn't it?
Totally.
That's exactly how it works in the music industry as well.
Yeah.
Same thing, record label owners and artists.
Yeah.
And there's like a 1% of the artists that do really well, and the other 99% that don't, or are fucked over or whatever.
Yeah. And I don't, I'm also realised that I've done very well out of it. Like, I've managed to have a job for 20 years, and being at Zeppotron was massively soft. That I had a regular wage coming in, and the fact that for a very long time we were a group of people who were on the same money in the same room did make us kind of slightly bulletproof, because naturally there's a divide and conquer in creative industries.
Yeah.
And we were lucky that we just weren't one. They go, well, I don't know, one of them's coming up with this shit. Which one is it? They go, we're not saying. So it kind of helped us, I think, for a long time. And we all were on decent money. And then, as you get older, it does become, you do have to grow up a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so. Did you have any ambitions to try and make a pop at it out in the US, doing what you're doing over here? Did that not interest you at all?
No, not really. It's not much.
Was it different? I mean, I guess it's slightly different there. It's feels like, whatever, like the internet has made the world a lot smaller now. And so in essence, you don't even need to go there necessarily to you can create shows over here that are then sold over there, which they did back then, but it feels like it's the gap is bridged a little bit now.
Yeah, there's loads. I've got loads of mates who've done that and done very well out of it. And
right,
I'm a bit socially awkward, if I'm honest. I'd honestly go, I can't imagine like even at the moment we're making Guilt, and there's a talk of whether we're going to go and pitch it in the US and that stuff, and it slightly fills me with dread. If I'm honest, to just go, oh God. But then I think that might be. I think my ambition is waning, in a positive way, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And when you on the writer side of things, how have you dealt in the past if you've had experiences where you've received notes from someone who, let's say, might have a different creative vision or interpretation of your project that you're working on? How have you dealt with notes in those circumstances?
Notes, I think notes are like the amazing part of our work. Like when I left, not going back to me, but when I left Zeppotron, I started a company called Happy Tramp with the director Ben Palmer, and that's still running now. And we have the same kind of attitude to notes, that we really welcome notes from good note givers. And I think sometimes you just go really quickly. You go, if someone's going to give notes, it's often a thing where someone will give you a note and it might be a bad note, but we tend to think, even if it's a note that we don't agree with, if they've offered a solution, the fact they've pinpointed an area means that there's something to look at there.
Yeah.
So I really, well, like I tend to give lots of notes, but I don't give you try and give respectful notes. You don't try and write something for somebody. You kind of go, that thing there, and it's always character. It's always like, why are they doing that? And why is that not quite ringing true? Why is that not quite hitting it? Or this story thing you can feel that's been put in there to kind of put a sticking plaster over a thing that doesn't work. So I'm like a big fan of notes. That being said, bad note givers just drive you nuts, and you have both, right? So it's kind of not the note, it's the quality of the note.
Yeah.
But no, it's always hard, because as a writer, if you write something, there's no greater feeling than writing something and finishing it, because writing's horrible. And when you finished it, you want everyone to go, yeah, it's perfect. Because the last thing you want to do is go, yeah, all of that bit in the middle that you cried over doesn't work. You have to do it again and do it better. So there's always that you want somebody to come back and say, I've got no notes. Brilliant, well done. And that's happened once to me on a project that I'm currently working on, and it might mean that it's rubbish. Or the note giver has gone, like, I don't even know where to start with this. Let's just not bother. Let's just pretend it's brilliant.
Due to lockdown, they just don't have the energy.
Yeah, they just go, yeah, it's great. Well done. You go, really? Well, nothing? Like, there's definitely something wrong in there.
Yeah, and then come on, give me something.
Yeah. So notes. I know there's people the worst thing is people being precious for precious sake. People giving notes for notes' sake are a pain in the arse, and people being precious
as in writers.
In the arse. Yeah.
Because
and and I totally get the kind of energy and sometimes arrogance of newer writers going, I've written this thing and it's going to break all the rules. And they give you a thing and you go, yeah, the problem is you can break all the rules, but you can break all the rules the second time. On the first time, do a thing that adheres to all the rules, because that's really hard. Yeah. And trying to break all the rules often means you haven't learned the rules. Yeah. And so I think, you often get a thing, I don't know if you get something where you get like friends of a friend say, guy's come out of college and he's written a script and he wants someone to read it. And often, like most people, some people don't want script notes to be told where it's going wrong. They want someone just to go, yeah, you're brilliant. And so that's a hard thing, because you go, yeah, I can give you notes, but the notes won't necessarily be, this is a work of genius, because no first draft of anything ever is.